Spirit and I are one, are one, are one, are one, are one. The Spirit and I are one. Won't you sing that, feel that, be that with me together? The Spirit and I are one. The Spirit and I are one. Are one, are one, are one, are one. The Spirit and I are one, are one, are one, are one. The Spirit and I are one. With eyes closed or eyes wide open, with a heart that's joyful and lifted, or a heart that's been broken and clinging on for dear life, won't you come to this precious present moment now? Breathing into the presence, the one light, the one love, the one truth of who you are and always have been. Know that there is nothing you need to do or earn or deserve to be in this presence, in this oneness, this light. Simply rest in the indwelling presence that is and always has been and always will be. For there is but one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, and I feel that presence now, here. Now. And now. Each moment brand new. Each moment an invitation to sink into that which is calling us inviting us into the presence, into the silence, into the peace that passes all understanding. From this place of peace, we radiate the light out inward, outward, sending forth a blessing to all beings, that all beings may be blessed as we are blessed. And so it is. Amen. This is a song about absolutely nothing at all. I love to sing about absolutely nothing. I'm really having quite a ball. I talk to teachers and preachers and scholars and poets at Unity churches large and small. And there's only one thing that we all could agree on, that's absolutely nothing at all. Of course, it took somebody much smarter than me to figure this out. It was Albert Einstein who said something important with E equals MC squared. He helped us understand that everything is relative. Reality is just what we agree to share. So what you say is what you get. You might as well like what you got. And me, I got a lot of absolutely nothing, but really that's quite a lot. And that's why I sing about absolutely nothing at all. I love to sing about absolutely nothing. I'm really having quite a ball. I've talked to teachers and preachers and scholars and poets at colleges large and small. And there's only one thing that we all could agree on, that's you did pretty good on muttering along. Let's see if you can sing along. Here we go. This is a song about absolutely nothing at all. I love to sing about absolutely nothing. I'm really having quite a ball. Too complicated? Just sing blah 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Absolutely nothing at all. Now, I can see some of you saying, well, Rudi, that's real cute and all, but what do you mean standing up there singing about nothing? I came to church to hear something, and you're singing about nothing and expect me to pay attention? Are you serious? The fact of the matter is, I am serious about nothing. Which is why I traveled halfway around the world to talk to a wise and famous man. He was living in an ashram at the top of a mountain. I had to climb up there hand over hand. When I finally got to the top, he was sitting in full lotus, writing in Sanskrit on the wall. Blah 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 blah. Absolutely nothing at all. And I know a couple of you are not amused. You're thinking, man, I could have gone to the lake today and done something more important than listening to guys stand up there singing about nothing. But the fact of the matter is, you know how if you want something and you want it real bad and you affirm that if you align with the divine, it is mine to receive what I believe I can achieve all in the goodness and the fullness of time, and you really put that out into the universe, what it is you want, and then you don't get it, and you get all mad or thinking God's angry with you, or you just haven't done it right, and you just, and then so you just write a bunch of affirmations on a little piece of sticky paper, and you put it on your desk and on the refrigerator and in the refrigerator and on your pillow, and all you align with the divine so I can receive what is mine, and you still don't get it, and you're thinking, wow, whereas if you just start off with wanting nothing in particular and opening to something in general, well, then the universe has something to work with, and you just might get what you really desire. And that's why I sing about absolutely nothing at all. I love to sing about absolutely nothing. I'm really having quite a ball. I've talked to teachers and preachers and scholars and poets at gatherings large and small. And there's only one thing that we all could agree on. Big finish now. Absolutely nothing at all. Oh, yeah. If only we're always fun, right, Linda?
Yes.
Yeah. But the thing is, the thing is to love life, to love it, even when you've got no stomach for it. When everything you've held dear crumbles like burnt paper in your hand and your throat, filled with the silt of it. The thing is to love life, to love it, even when grief sits with you, gets right on top of you. Its tropical heat thickens the air, heavy as water, more fit for gills than lungs. When grief weighs you like your own flesh, only more than an obesity of grief, you think to yourself, how can a body withstand this? How can my body withstand all this? The thing is to hold your life like a face between your palms, a plain face, no charming smile, a plain face, no pretty eyes, and you say, yes, I will take you, yes, I will take you, yes, I will love you again, I will love you again, I will love you again. Thank you. So sometimes this path of new thought leads in beautiful, harmonious, loving, light-filled ways, and sometimes not. Sometimes you just find yourself in darkness. Sometimes you find yourself in a place of grief or loss. Sometimes you look at the TV and you find yourself in total astonishment at the way the political situation is in the world. And you wonder, how can my body withstand living in times like this with so much hatredness and divisiveness and war? And it's the same New Thought path. The one that leads to affirmation and joy and light and love and positive growth, and the one that is entirely and utterly and completely reliable in times of darkness and fear and loss too. And the fact is, we all have things that we'd rather have different in our lives. You know, there's always that part of you that wants something other than what you got. The important thing is to remember the difference between wants, needs, and desires. And they are very different things. We tend to use them interchangeably, but in fact they have very different word origins and very different meanings. A need is very basic and it's very simple. I need food. You need food. It's required for life. But you want pizza because you just saw it on the TV screen. You want to go out and eat in CLD with someone because you've read about it in the newspaper and your mouth just waters reading about their appetizers and you want to go there. But your desire, a desire comes from the Latin word desire, meaning from the stars, which means desires come from somewhere beyond you. They're inculcated in your soul being, in your godness, your goodness, your wholeness. At any given moment, your wants, needs, and desires are all operating. But the question for us as New Thought students is, can we focus on the desire? And listen to our mind say what it wants, and say, never mind, mind. Just never mind, because the mind will never be satisfied with what it wants. If you have pizza, it wants pepperoni pizza. If you have pepperoni pizza, it wants that pepperoni pizza from over there at the fancier restaurant. If you get to the fancier restaurant, you want to be able, you know, the mind goes on and on. A need. I have a need that says I need to be clothed. In this culture, I need to wear clothes. And besides, it's hot out there, and if you don't wear clothes, the sun will burn you, you know. That's a very basic need. My want is to wear clothes by Armani suits, you know. It's part of me, would like that, yeah. But the desire is to feel secure and safe. That's what clothes really do for us, to keep us safe and secure. Just like the food is a need to eat, you got to have calories in order to keep going. Your want is for pizza, but your desire is to feel fed. On the intellectual level, as New Thought students, we all want to be enlightened. We want to be enlightened. We want to be like totally at peace and at one with the universe all the time. Our need is to have a story of meaning, of some framework that makes sense in our lives. But our desire, our deep down desire is to feel connected with all things and to simply be at peace. And at any given moment, and when your needs and your wants are screaming at you, we are free, you and I are free to shift instead to the desire. Because the desire is not dependent on whether or not the want got fulfilled. It's not even dependent on whether the need got fulfilled. That the desire takes you to that place where that which is bigger and larger and richer and deeper calls to you and fills you and surrounds you. Because desire comes from the stars, comes from spirit, comes from life, and can only be fulfilled how? By returning back to that place of knowing what's really underneath your wants and your needs. The unity principles are very clear that what? There is but one presence and one power in the universe in my life. Second principle, I, you, we are made in the image and likeness of that one power. So we are inherently good. And we create with our thoughts. And so as we turn our thoughts to prayer, those thoughts harness the energy of spirit and allow us to come into a place of action from fullness. We know that as a concept, but we forget time and time again. We forget and dwell in a small story about separation and, well, it's not the way I want them. My son's not behaving the way I want him to. My boss didn't give me the raise I deserve. I want to lose this extra weight. If we tell that small story, we are never satisfied, and we are free to change our stories at any time. That's the great gift of living in our time. For the very first time in human history, we live in a time and a culture and a place that allows us to choose our own stories. For thousands of years, we were raised in small clans and in caves and jungle clearings and in small tribes that told us how to live and what to think and how to be. And bonded us in ways to our tradition that had to be kept, because if you didn't listen to your parents real close to tell you where the water was in the desert, where that one watering hole is, which they heard from their parents, which they heard from their grandparents, that's how the tribe stayed alive. The same way you had to know how to behave and how to believe, what God to believe, because the tribe had a very prescribed understanding of what God is. But for the first time in history, really only in the last 50 years, in the general public has become aware of the value of psychology and the choice of creative spirituality, the choice to believe what you wanted to believe and seek out your own path of meaning. Now, this was always the property of a very few select wise men and women, but now our whole culture understands, has been given permission to create our own story. That's the good news. The bad news is, now you got to create our own story. And it's hard. It's hard to find new ways of being. And it's easier just to keep the habits and complain about it being the boss's fault, or my son's fault, or my neighbor's fault, or my partner's fault, or the fact that I don't have something. You know, it's always easy to look at the cause as being over there rather than naming and claiming the power of telling my own story. The great Nora Ephron was one of the wonderful, most talented writers of the 20th century, and she wrote novels. She was a columnist for the New York Times and the New Yorker. She wrote essays. She wrote the screenplays for When Harry Met Sally and Sleepless in Seattle and a number of other very popular award-winning movies. And someone asked her once, why do you write? What is it that propels you to write? And her answer was, if I slip on a banana peel, fall down, then I'm embarrassed or I'm hurt. But if I tell the story of falling down on the banana peel, why, then I can make myself the hero of the story. I can blame it on somebody else for having put the banana peel there. I can cast it in a comedic light. When I tell the story, I can be however I want. And we are each the authors of our own life, free to tell whatever story we want. So why not tell a story of enoughness? Why not tell a story based in our heart's desire rather than our mind's wants, needs? And come back to the truth of who we are, which is not separate from spirit but one with, which is not separate from our good but fully inculcated and living into it at every moment. Enoughness is a choice. Connection is a choice. I've personally been going through a tough time the last couple of weeks. I'll spare you the details, they don't matter. It's just a story, and my story is that I'm bigger than the story of my details. And that I'm enough. And I've been dealing with some sadness and some anger, some fear. And so this poem has helped me, and so I'm going to share it with you. The Storm on Galilee by Teddy Macker. What's instructive is not that he walked on water, but that he seemed so unharassed by the possibility of complete and utter catastrophe. Yes, it could all fall apart, he seemed to say. Yes, the storm could turn your little ship into a sudden coffin. Yes. Faith, he told us then, is not trusting things will be better one day. Faith is trusting that things could never be better, no matter what. Breathe into that with me. It's big. I know it's big. This is clearly a poetic recounting of the story of Jesus on the Sea of Galilee. Jesus, the way shower, had done all these wonderful and powerful things, tried to teach his disciples the meaning of life and the way into the kingdom of God. And they were good students, except one day they were out on the storm in the sea, and they were scared. It was the sea was gonna kill them. Jesus, Jesus, save us! You know? And this poem tells us in poetic terms what Jesus' response is. And I ask you to hear it again with the ears of your heart. What's instructive is not that he walked on water, but that he seemed so unharassed by the possibility of complete and utter catastrophe. Yes, it could all fall apart, he seemed to say. Yes, the storm could turn your little ship into a sudden coffin. Yes. Faith, he told us then, is not trusting things will be better one day. Faith is trusting that things could never be better, no matter what. See, our minds are always trying to tell us that we need something better. There's something better out there. And Jesus Christ, the teacher and way shower, has tried to tell us, as the unity principles try to tell us, to stand where we are. Not where we want to be, where we should be, but where we are. Knowing that for this moment, it could not be better. The forces could not be aligned more perfectly for my highest good. Even if it doesn't feel good, and especially when it doesn't feel good. In our culture, we're really hooked on feeling good, happy endings. If you need a break, you deserve a break today. Just do it. You can have it all. Right now. No, you can't. And it doesn't always feel good. And you don't always deserve a break unless you give yourself one in alignment with a higher truth, with spirit. Not that it's either or. It's perfectly okay to be mad, sad, scared, pissed off. That's okay. And as truth students of New Thought, we're invited to turn again and again away from just listening to our mind talk about wants Say, never mind, mind, and turn to spirit within, indwelling. And remember, all is well. And this is enough. And I give thanks. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. This is enough spread out before me. This is enough and I give thanks. This is enough and so much more is coming to me, flowing through my heart and through my hands. There is so much in this world my mind wants. My head is filled with all the things I crave. With my heart, I can see much higher. As the light of love illuminates the way, singing, this is enough spread out before me. This is enough and I give thanks. Won't you sing it with me? This is enough and so much more is coming to me, flowing through my heart and through my hands. One more time, singing. This is enough spread out before me. This is enough and I give thanks. This is enough and so much more is coming to me, flowing through my heart and through my hands. Jesus stood alone upon the hillside, with thousands of people waiting to be fed. He didn't complain or start to worry. He just gave thanks for the fishes and the bread, saying, why do you think so much about the things you lack? Why do you wallow in your fear? Remember the sparrows and the lilies of the field. Like them you have everything you need surrounding you right here. Sing it with me, won't you? This is enough. This is enough spread out before me. This is enough and I give thanks. This is enough and I give thanks. This is enough and so much more. This is enough and so much more is coming to me, flowing through my heart and through my hands. Flowing through my heart and through my hands. This is enough spread out before me. This is enough spread out before me.
Rudi, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you want to hear more Rudi music, this afternoon at 4 o'clock, he will be doing a concert right here. So join us at 4. It's going to be too hot outside to be doing anything else. So come on in and spend some more time with Rudi. It will be worth your while, I promise. I forgot to do the announcements early, so we're going to do those right quick before John comes and welcomes our guests. The cue process that we thought we were